Hi everyone, today we're reading Locomotive by Brian Floca. Here's a road made for crossing the country, a new road of rails made for people to ride. Here is how this road was built, with a grunt and a heave and a swing, with the ring of shovels on a stone, the ring of hammers on the spikes. Men came from far away to build from the east, to build from the west, to meet in the middle. They cleared the rocks and dug the tunnels. They raised the hammers and brought them down. 3 strokes to the spike, 10 spikes to the rail. Here your trip begins, at the depot, on the platform. People here, the passengers, have packed and shipped and sold their things. All their things. Everything. They have their tickets for a trip of a week, through days and nights, across the wide country down the sea. Look for the train that will take you, the first train of the trip. Listen for the engine, for the mighty locomotive. She's waiting in the rail yard, ready for her work. Hear the clang of the bell. Hear the huff of the engine. Her crew is bringing her out. See a puff from her stack, a puff of smoke, a smudge in the sky. Here she comes! See a puff, a smudge, a cloud, Up doors! Now comes the locomotive, the iron herd, the great machine, 50 feet and 40 tons, wheels spinning, rods swinging, motion within motion, running down the track. She's bright in her paint and polish, the pride of her company and crew. She pulls her tender and train behind her. She pulls up, rolls up close to where you wait. All the heat and smoke and noise. Hear the clear, hard call of her bell. Hear the hiss and the of the steam. Hear the engine breathe like a beast. She carries the crew that makes her run. Brakeman, fireman, engineer, and in charge of them all, the conductor, the captain of the train. He cries,
"Aboard! Aboard!"
"Step up, step quick." Up in the cab, the crew's making ready. The train is about to leave. Up in the cab, small as a closet, hot as a kitchen, it smells of smoke, hot metal, and oil. The fireman keeps the engine fed. He scoops and lifts and throws the coal from the tender to the firebox. It's hard work, hot work. Smoke and cinders, ash and sweet. Hard work, hot work. But that's a fireman's life. He tends the fire, that boils the water, that turns the water into steam. Then the engineer, the hogger, pushes forward the Johnson bar. He blows the whistle as a warning. 2 toots to say, "This train's about to go." He pulls the throttle lever. He opens the throttle. Not too much, not at first, or the wheels would spin on the tracks. Easy, easy. He releases the steam. It pushes through the pipes. It goes to do its work. It pushes the pistons, which push and pull the rods. The rods, they swing and rise and fall and make the drive wheels turn. The engine and hisses. The engine bangs and clanks. Metal rolls on metal and the locomotive moves. It gives the cars a jerk and a tug. It pulls them out from a station. Now more steam. Faster, turn the wheels. Faster, brave the engine. The train is on its way. Through the cars comes the conductor.
Tickets, please.
He cries as he walks down the aisle. Have them ready or have a short trip. Out the windows, the city runs by. Homes and schools, then farms and fields. They rush up close, then fall away. The engineer feels the wind on his face. The fire by his feet, high up in the cab. He feels the engine shudder and sway. He feels it shake as it picks up speed. The sounds of the engine surround him, the rhythm of pistons pounding like hammers, the driver drumming the rail, the smoke and steam rushing up through the stack. The engineer keeps his hand on the throttle, keeps his eyes on the line. He is the master of his machine. He knows her moods and tempers, where to set her bars and levers, when to slow down and when to speed up, when to run her wide open. Full steam ahead! Faster, turn the wheels. Faster, brave the engine. The country runs by, the cottonwoods and river. Western runs the train through the prairies to the great plains onto the frontier. The hours and miles roll by. The country opens wide, empty as an ocean. Smell the switchgrass and the blue stem, hot beneath the sun. Here the bison used to roam, by the hundreds, by the millions. Here the Cheyenne lived, and Pawnee and Afro. Here covered wagons used to crawl, foot by foot, mile by mile, heading into west. The railroad and the men who built it, they have changed it all. Now they're long steel rails running like new rivers connecting coast to coast. Now the telegraph crosses the country. People and mail are traveling by rail. Words are traveling by wire. The world is speeding up. In the rattling, rocking cars, there are neighbors to meet, games to play, songs to sing. And if you're bored, and if you're hungry, there's the bus. A boy who walks the easel and sells books, maps, magazines, yesterday's paper, fruits and candies, soap and towels, coffee, tea, sugar, hash, beans, bacon, and all the ciders you can smoke. Disaster on the Memphis line. Read all about it. There's a stove in one corner for winter trips to keep the passengers warm, and a convenience in the other. It's tricky sometimes to use it when the train is rolling, running, lurching, leaning left and right. But do the best you can. Don't wait for the train to stop. It's rude to use the toilet. When the train is sitting at a station, there's no plumbing here. There's only a hole in the floor. As the engine pulls the train, it burns through coal. It boils through water, and soon it must stop for more. The engineer slows the engine. He blows his whistle to signal the crew. Down brakes! The brakemen hear the call. They turn the wheels which tighten the brakes. They tighten them car by car. The train stops at new cities and stops at new towns. Grand Island and Kearney and North Platte and on cities and towns built up for the railroad, built to keep the engines running. At the water tower, the fireman pulls the spout. The fireman lets the water out. Splash! He fills the tank in the tender. So there will be water to pump the boiler when the engine needs it. And when the train is stopped, when it's time for dinner, find a railroad restaurant. Find a hash house. Quick, it's $1 for dinner and 20 minutes to eat it. Don't waste time. If the chicken tastes like prairie dog, don't ask why. Then, when the crew and their engine have done a full day's work, fresh men and machines will take their place. Into the roundhouse the old engine goes. Out from the roundhouse the new engine rolls. The new crew gets to work. The engine pulls back on the Johnson bar to put the engine in reverse. He blows the whistle as a warning. 3 toots to say he's backing up. Now the switchman in the rail yard will attach the engine to the train. He'll step between the tender and cars as the two are pushed together. And at just the right moment, not sooner, no later, he will put the links and pins in place that will hold the train together. Switchmen must be careful, and switchmen must be quick. For cars get bumped, they'll roll and jump. Sometimes when they shouldn't, and here's what they say about the switchman. You can tell that one is new to the job. If he still has all his fingers, now the tender rolls close, and goes the link. Clink! Down drops the pin. Clank! The switchman steps away. The train is ready to roll again. Full steam ahead again. Westward, westward. Through the night the engine runs. Goes up late, hear her whistle. Her wild and lonesome cry. It echoes on far hills and homes. It sounds in distant dreams. In the cars, it's time to sleep, or at least it's time to try. In better cars, there are better beds. Porters pull them from the ceilings. They make them from the seats. In your car, for a bed, you use your bench. Get as comfortable as you can. Ask your neighbors nicely.
Would you move your elbow? Will you move your foot? Could you please stop snoring?
In the dark, the country is changing. The plains rise like a ramp to the foot of the Rockies. By the morning, the country is steep. Hard work for one locomotive. At Jiayin Station, the train gets two engines. Now the train is a doubleheader. Up, up, the two engines climb among mountains. But see how well the train's path was chosen. The mountains stay to the left. The mountains stay to the right. The train never meets them head on. It wins between, it weaves among, instead of climbing over. Still up, up, the two engines chug. Working together, they make the grade. They make it to Sherman Station. It may not look or feel so high, like the top of a hill or a mountain peak. But this is the highest point on the line. West of here, the country dips and drops again. West of here, one engine will do. Now the country is rough. Now the train travels presto. Slowly, slowly, the engineer drives. The train is so heavy, the bridge is so narrow, the firemen and the engineer don't let the train get off the track. This right here is not our engine. They watch the signals and switches. They know how to slow down for the curves. They watch the gauge that shows the pressure. If there's too much pressure, they blow off some steam. They watch the valves on the back head. Those show how much water is left in the boiler. If there's too much water boiled away, and if the level dropped too low, the firebox would melt, would buckle, would blow. The locomotive would explode. So when the valves show the water dropping, the engineer pulls a handle. He pumps in water from the tender. He keeps his engine safe. Wouldn't you? Westward, westward, westward rolls the train. Down into canyons, again into night. It rolls among sage and below strange stones. Stranger and stranger, the farther you go, until every mile brings some new wonder. See them in the moon's pale light. Castles, pulpits, witches, slides. And see a sign that hangs from a branch? 1,000-mile tree. It reads, 1,000 miles? That's how far your train has traveled since the trip began. Still westward, westward rolls the train, rolling below the stars. Above the Great Salt Lake, north of Salt City, the city of saints that the Mormons have made, you reach Promontory Summit. This is the high and lonesome place where this new road of rails was finished. This is where its two halves met. One from the east, one from the west. Here they were joined with a golden spike, a spike made of gold. Don't look for it now. The gold was hammered in. The gold was taken out. Taken someplace safe. Replaced right away with a spike made out of iron. It took two companies to build this new road, and it takes two companies to run it. Now you'll change from one to the next. The Union Pacific has got this far. Central Pacific will finish the job. Look for the train with the yellow cars. Don't take time to see the town. This place is rough. This place is rowdy. Don't wander off. Here in the West, there's more wood than coal. So wood is what this new engine burns. The fireman lifts it from the tender. He throws it into the firebox. He keeps the water boiling. Then the engineer sends the train on its way out from the station. Through the Great Basin, a bleak and silent land, silent except for the huff and the bang and the hiss of the engine, the click and the clack of the cars. On the train rolls down the desert, the home of the paddle and the stars shone. It's a land of dust and bitter rivers, rivers that never reach the sea. They sink away, they vanish. Think of those who came before, who crossed covered in wagons, traveling foot by foot under the beating sun. No water worth drinking for mile after mile. Then at last, relief! You reach the Truckee Valley. The shadows of trees, the touch of cool air, the smells of woods and fresh rivers. Now there's one last set of mountains to cross. The mighty Sierra Nevada. They rise like a wall on the edge of the basin. There is no way to wind around them. These the train must climb. It takes a second engine again to pull the train up into the mountains. Up, the engine climbs. If the rails are slick, if the whales don't catch, the engineers can put a handle to drop some sand down a tube onto the tracks. The wheels hit the girth, the traction does the trick. Up through spruce and pines, past miles and mines. Through shadowy sheds, long and dark. In winter they keep snow from blocking the tracks, but all year round they block the view. Up over stone. And under through the mountain's summit, where granite was drilled and blasted, here black powder and nitroglycerin boomed. Now in the dark, engines echo. Then out the other side, now the climbing is done. The train changes engines at Summit Station. Again, one engine will do. It's all downgrade from here. Around the curve they call Cape Horn. Down the train rolls, high above the tumbling river, but lower every minute. It rattles and speeds and dips and drops. Then the brakemen stand at the ready. The engineer sends some steam in reverse, just to keep the train from going too fast. Down past orchards and towns, down towards cities, down to stop at depot, to stop and be still at the end of the line. Now your days on the train are done. You are tired and dusty. The smell of smoke is stuck in your clothes. Now you are here. Here where you needed to go. Here where you needed to be. Here with the people you waited and wanted and needed to see. Now the country's far corners have been pulled together. Thanks to the men who tend the engines, who mind the trains and their passengers. Thanks to the locomotive. Thanks to the locomotive, you've crossed the wide plains and deserts. You've found new cities, new towns beyond mountains on the Pacific. By that new sea, you have found a new place to call home. San Francisco, California. The end.